As President Obama visited Texas last Monday, 4 individuals were arrested on the University of Texas campus while trying to exercise their right to free speech.
What's going on here, ma'am?
I'm being arrested for free speech activities. We're asking people to sign an open letter against the UT plastic
I'll stay out of your way, sir. I'm not in any threat.
Thank you very much for documenting this.
I think it's a little crappy that I have to go in a specific place and stand and talk. What is a designated protest area? Every area in the United States is protected by the First Amendment. Well, I'm just saying, why can't I stand here?
I'm just asking. This is for speaking and trying to ask a question. I stopped protesting and I was going to ask a question about how the designated free speech zone is decided. That's it. That's all I wanted to know. Like, how is that decided?
It's cooperated.
Apparently, it's illegal to ask a question on campus. This is an example of critical thinking being called out of school, being removed.
Y'all are violating the First Amendment, gentlemen.
No, apparently.
This is the last warning before
Traditional place for public debate to go on is on a university campus, unless it's like Kent State.
Are you a student?
I ask you to use your discretion.
Thank you.
I'm going to read the First Amendment of the Constitution. Am I breaking the law, sir?
You've been asked to leave.
Am I being detained right now?
You have been asked.
Am I being detained right now? You guys don't want to do this. You're about to violate my civil rights. And she knows it as well. There's no violence going on. It's a peaceful discussion. It may have gotten a little heated, but it's peaceful. People are learning from each other. Maybe not learning too much from each other. But maybe you'll learn a lot more from seeing a gentleman that's standing here very calmly with a press pass, John Bush, exercising two of my First Amendment rights. My right to free speech, my right to peaceably assemble, and the freedom of the press. That's 3, actually. 3 First Amendment rights which could potentially be violated by the University of Texas Police Department and the Dean's office.
We're all witnesses.
You guys can make sure that nothing gets escalated.
We're all witnesses. We're all witnesses. We're all witnesses, John. What is your name?
John Bush,
And what are you
Executive
arrested
Director
for?
of Texans for Accountable Government, for exercising my First Amendment rights.
Welcome to the police state.
Don't we have rights as students on this campus for free speech?
You do, and the Dean of Students right over here has trying to cut some leeway, so they were the first ones to make the interaction.
My understanding of student rules on campus is that we have the right to hold a sign anywhere. As long as we're not doing amplified sound, then we have the right to go anywhere.
Right, so you're talking about...
I would understand that not being allowing us in the building or something like that's, you know, cool, but why over here?
Because we're away from all the TV cameras, of course. We're never going to be able to end this war unless we get in front of the cameras. Thank you very much.
I'm just telling you to go over here to that area with the protest.
I heard you tell me
Is that an order, sir?
With directions from the Secret Service, protesters are supposed to be over here. We're making an area safe.
I'm sure.
Are you going over there? Are you going over there now?
What's the difference between over there and right here? What's the difference? I'm totally going I'm getting arrested right now for trying to walk on a sidewalk.
What's your name, man?
Dan McCarthy.
Dan McCarthy.
End
Getting
the
arrested
war!
right now.
End the war! Welcome to the police state! It's a fascist country!
John Stossel explained free speech zones on Freedom Watch.
Universities used to be the bastion of free speech where you would try out ideas. Now, many have gotten so politically correct. We don't want to offend any student. We want to make sure no student feels offended, and then the people who are most easily offended get to make the rules. They come down to having a special section of the university which they call a free speech zone. Those are the places where you're allowed to say pretty much what you want. When it's government and you're talking political speech, that's the most threatening.
But if a public school regulated by the First Amendment says you can't say this, you can't say that, or you have to be in that free speech zone, that's a violation of the First Amendment, isn't it?
I think so.
News website WikiLeaks released thousands of classified documents. Jack Hunter of the American Conservative explains.
This week, when whistleblower website WikiLeaks released over 90,000 classified documents portraying a dismal war in Afghanistan, the White House called editor Julian Assange and his organization a threat to national security. But it is this White House that is a threat to national security. WikiLeaks simply helped prove it. The war in Afghanistan is a disaster, something President Obama refuses to acknowledge and insists on continuing for no discernible reason. Afghanistan's top commander, General Stanley McChrystal, voiced his frustration with the mindlessness of our mission and lost his post. His replacement, General David Petraeus, isn't any clearer about our prospects than his predecessor or the president. Who truly puts the nation's security more at risk? A government that continues to put soldiers in harm's way with no clear mission or strategy as the bodies, dollars, and questions continue to pile up? Or a website that insists the general public should know what their government is up to? What was it specifically that the Obama administration found among some 90,000 documents that compelled the White House to declare WikiLeaks a security risk mere hours after their release? Did Obama hire an army of speed readers? Or how about the most significant stories to come out of the WikiLeaks? That we pay Pakistan $1 billion a year to help the Taliban, that drone attacks are far less effective than portrayed, or that significant civilian deaths are being covered up. Which of these is truly a massive security risk, domestically or abroad? Or do these stories simply risk damaging the president's reputation or perhaps the administration's preferred war narrative? Truth be told, the real risk is that WikiLeaks dared to report the actual news, or what the New York Times calls, quote, an unvarnished ground-level picture of the war in Afghanistan that is in many respects more grim than the official portrayal. Ironically, the pro-war, any-war hawks in both parties who still refuse to believe that Islamic terrorists target the United States not for our freedom, but for what we do on their homelands, are now warning of potential blowback over what WikiLeaks has done. You see, dropping bombs in occupying countries for years could never incite hatred, but actually reporting the truth about the war could spark a jihadist revolution. As if jihadists don't already know what's going on in their own backyard, something an organization like WikiLeaks simply believes everyone else should know about too. Salon.com's Glenn Greenwald has it right, quote, WikiLeaks has yet again proven itself to be one of the most valuable and important organizations in the world. There is no valid justification for having kept most of these documents a secret, but that's what our national security state does reflexively. It hides itself behind an essentially absolute wall of secrecy to ensure that the citizenry remains largely ignorant of what it is really doing. The New Yorker's Amy Davidson writes, quote, what does it mean to tell the truth about a war? Is it a lie, technically speaking, for the administration to say it has faith in Karzai's government and regards him as a legitimate leader, or is it just absurd? Is it a lie to say that we have a plan for Afghanistan that makes any sense at all? If you put it that way, each of the WikiLeaks documents is a pixel in a picture that does indeed contradict official accounts of the war, and rather drastically so. It is no secret that telling lies to make sure the citizenry remains largely ignorant of what its government is really doing is standard operating procedure for Washington, D.C. Many Americans rightly see disingenuousness in their government selling of programs like, oh, I don't know, TARP, something Obama originally told us would cost $700 billion, but is now reaching $3.7 trillion due to housing rescue efforts. But it should also be stressed that such duplicity is just as regularly used in foreign policy. Granted, waging war is not identical to domestic politics, but the degree to which government uses supposed national security to deceive the public about what is truly happening overseas is something the mainstream media largely ignores. WikiLeaks claims it went to great lengths to make sure that nothing that might genuinely compromise national security was included in their release. And given that the White House can't cite any specific risks and only issue blanket condemnations, it is reasonable to assume that WikiLeaks has simply released information the administration would rather the public not know, and not necessarily for safety reasons, but to save face. WikiLeaks or any other organization that knowingly releases classified information that might actually harm the soldier on the battlefield or compromise war strategy should be held accountable. But so should a government that continues to harm soldiers by putting them on the battlefield with no war strategy, clear mission, or definable victory. WikiLeaks has tried to hold the government accountable by more accurately informing the public about what's really going on in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and hopefully the mainstream media will now follow suit. Our national security depends on it.
Thank you for watching Real News TV. Please share this video and join us again next time for more Real News TV.